Hello, I'm Tim Summelroth. I'm one of the attorney coaches for the Regis Mock Trial team, and I want to talk to you today about the basics of doing a direct examination. In particular, what it is and how to go about writing a direct examination. So the first thing you need to understand is that the direct examination is the foundation of the case. When a lawyer is asking a witness questions from their own team, uh, that is what tells the story of the case. And so I want to talk about that. So, first of all, let's talk about who is involved. Okay. A direct examination involves a lawyer and a witness from the same team. So it will be a Robbins lawyer asking a Robbins witness questions. And you are going to be asking those questions to tell a story to the judge about what the case is about from your team's perspective. And what you're trying to do, the reason why you're doing this is you are trying to provide through the testimony of this witness and any evidence that gets introduced during this direct examination, you are trying to convince the judge of your burden of proof. So in this case, which is a wrongful death case, the story that you're telling, if you're on the plaintiff side, hopefully is telling a story of how Barry Buck, the defendant, was at fault, was negligent, was acted unreasonably, and how that behavior by the defendant caused Jackie Wilson's death. If you are doing a direct examination for the defense, then hopefully you're telling a story to the judge about how the plaintiff, Jackie Wilson, was negligent, meaning that he was careless or he was reckless, or pardon me, careless or acted unreasonably, and that it was his own actions, his own wrongful actions that caused his death. So that is why you're doing this direct examination, because you're trying to tell a story that satisfies your burden of proof so that your side wins. Now, when it comes to actually writing your direct examination, it is helpful to know which type of witness you are. Okay. Some witnesses are occurrence witnesses. And what an occurrence witness is somebody who observes events that are important to the case. Either they see things or they hear things that they're going to testify about under oath to the judge that are important to your case. That is different than an expert witness. Okay. An expert witness is allowed to testify about their opinions, not just their observations, not just what they saw and what they heard, but their opinions about things. And they're allowed to do that because they have specialized training, education, experience that the court decides is enough to allow them to give an expert opinion. So let's talk first about an occurrence witness. Okay, remember, the occurrence witness is somebody who observes events important to the case. Either they heard something important or they saw something important. So there are different sections. You want to outline your direct using Roman numerals, just like you would if you were outlining something for English class. And the Roman numeral 1, when you write a direct examination for an occurrence witness, is the introduction. And there are certain things that you need to accomplish in the introduction. You need to explain who this person is. You need to explain why we should be listening to them. and you need to tease the most important part of their testimony, all within 5 or 6 questions. So, who is this person? So please introduce yourself to the court, spell your last name for the court reporter. And then you have to ask questions like, what do you do for a living? Do you know the plaintiff in this case? How do you know the plaintiff in this case? Are you going to testify about what you saw on the night the plaintiff died? As you can see through just a couple of questions, I've explained to the judge, the listener, who this person is, why we should listen to them, and I've teased or I have previewed the most important thing they're going to talk about, which is what they saw on the day that the plaintiff died. So that is Roman numeral 1, which is the introduction. Roman numeral 2 is necessary background. This is what we need to know about the witness in order to appreciate what is going to come next. So, for example, if it's important that I know that this witness is the best friend of Jackie Wilson, then some of the necessary background would be how they met, what their relationship was like. If I'm doing the direct examination of Barry Buck, who owns a nightclub, then I need to know something about how he came to be the owner of the nightclub. So that's the sort of necessary background that I need to understand in order to understand what comes next in their testimony. So that's Roman numeral 2, explain the necessary background. Roman numeral 3 is set the scene. Okay, ultimately, when you're an occurrence witness, you are going to have that witness describe an event, okay? An event that they were present at where they witnessed something. Before you can get into the event, you have to set the scene. Now, what do I mean by setting the scene? I mean, a scene has to have a time. It has to have a place. You have to explain who's present. And if you do all of those things, if you give me a time, a place, who's present, then when it comes time to actually describe the occurrence that this witness saw or this witness heard, it becomes very easy then to understand what's coming next. And so that's why Roman numeral 4 is describe the action, okay? The action is somebody doing something. And this witness knows that somebody did something because this witness saw it or this witness heard it. And so when you're describing the action, a lot of the questions are, what happened next? What happened after that? Then what happened? And so that is Roman numeral 4, and that typically is the longest part of your direct examination, where you're describing the action. Everything that you do before it, the introduction, the necessary background, the setting the scene, it is all done to allow you to clearly explain the action that you witnessed. And then the last part of a direct examination of an occurrence witness is the conclusion. And the conclusion is just 1 or 2 questions where you find a way to get the witness to restate the most important part of their testimony. The 1 or 2 things that you want to highlight with the judge. So if the judge thinks, oh, what was this witness testifying about? And they hear the conclusion, that will remind them, oh yeah, that's why this witness testified. So those are the 5 parts of a direct examination. Number 1, introduction. Number 2, necessary background. Number 3, set the scene. Number 4, describe the action. And number 5, conclusion. So that works fine for doing an occurrence witness direct examination. Now, the other type of witness is the expert witness. Now, if you don't know whether or not your witness is an expert witness, you need to think, does this witness have specialized training, education, experience? And is the witness using that specialized education, training, and experience to reach conclusions, to offer opinions about something? If they're doing that, then they're testifying as an expert witness. So the way that you structure an expert witness direct examination is very similar. It starts out with the introduction. And so that is, who is this person, why this person is here, why they should be listened to. You want to end with a teaser. Okay, and then the next section, Roman numeral 2, necessary background. Roman numeral 2 tends to be a little bit longer with expert witnesses because you have to use that portion of your direct examination, the necessary background, to allow the witness, the expert, to explain what qualifies them to give an expert opinion. So that means maybe you have to go through their education. Maybe you have to go through their training. Maybe you have to go through their professional experience. But that's what we mean by necessary background in an expert witness direct. Then the next step is to give what I call an opinion sandwich. What that means is you are asking the witness for their first major opinion. So if your witness is a doctor, do you have an opinion as to the cause of death of Jackie Wilson? And obviously you don't have a doctor in this case, but I'm just using it as an example. So that first question I asked, do you have an opinion as to the cause of death of Jackie Wilson? That's the first slice of the sandwich. That's the bun or the bread on top. And they say, yes, I do. Jackie Wilson died as a result of inhaling smoke. Once they give that opinion, then the meat of the opinion sandwich is asking the witness to explain how they know that to be true. So it's the explanation of the opinion that is the meat or the middle of the sandwich. So they would say, well, based on A, B, and C, all of those things support the conclusion I just gave. And then the reason why it's called an opinion sandwich is once they've stated their opinion, they've explained why it to be true, then you want to give them the opportunity to restate that opinion before you move on so that it drives home that conclusion or that opinion. So it goes opinion, bread, explanation for why the opinion is true, meat, and then restatement of the opinion is the bread at the bottom. That's an opinion sandwich. And so the thing is that you are going to have to identify what those opinions are that the witness is going to give. And typically in mock trial, they give more than just one opinion. And so that, what happens, what do you have to do if there's more than one opinion? You just restart another opinion sandwich. Okay, now let's turn to your second opinion in this case. Do you have an opinion about the second issue? Yes, my opinion is blank. What is your basis for that opinion? The witness says da 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 da, explains why. And then because of all those things, what was your conclusion? And then you find a way to restate the opinion again. And you keep doing that until you are done with all of the opinions. They've all been presented. And then your conclusion, so this would be Roman numeral 4. If Roman numeral 1 is the introduction, Roman numeral 2 is the necessary background, Roman numeral 3 are the opinion sandwiches, then Roman numeral 4 is the conclusion which is you're finding a way to allow the witness to restate an important opinion at the end. So you're ending on a strong note at the end. So that is the structure of a expert witness direct examination. So my recommendation to you is when you write a direct examination, actually write the Roman numeral headings. Write those out first. Introduction, necessary background, set the scene, describe the action, conclusion if it's an occurrence witness. Write those headings out, and then, and only then, start writing the questions that make up that section of your direct. And if you do that, then you're always going to be going in the right direction. Now, just a couple of tips. I want to end with just some tips. A direct examination question cannot be leading. And so by leading, that means it cannot tell the witness the way to answer the question. So the easiest way to ask a non-leading question is to start your question with any of the 5 journalism words. What, when, where, why, who, how. Okay, those are the questions. If you make sure that all your direct questions start with the W's or the how of that make up a good story in journalism, then you're not likely to be objected to for being leading. The other thing you need to realize is direct examination questions should be short. And they should be short because the judge's focus should not be on watching the lawyer asking the question on direct examination. The judge's focus should be on the witness, the one who's telling the story, who's giving the testimony, who's testifying about the evidence that's being entered. So you want to make sure that you're asking questions and you're writing your direct exam in such a way that the witness is really the star of the show. And then, there are a lot of higher level tips that we'll talk about, things like using transitions or how to introduce evidence, but we'll get to that. The important thing right now is you figure out the story that the witness needs to tell in order for your side of the case to be successful. Put it in that outline structure. And if you get a direct written in that way, then Mr. Efting and your other coaches can help you polish it up so that it scores well in competition. So that's the end of this basic presentation about how to write a direct examination. Good luck, and I'll see you next time.